All right, so as we talked about in the earlier videos, maintaining this trunk rigidity, so it's nice and strong through this upper body, is probably the most important part of the deadlift. If you can hold that, you're at least gonna be safe and you're gonna start to move towards moving decent loads. A huge factor to that is being able to brace. Now, if you've watched the other videos, the squat and the bench, we've talked about being able to expand the diaphragm. So we're just thinking about having like a weight belt that goes around your bottom rib cage on 360 degrees. We're trying to pull as much air into that position as we possibly can. So it's a big breath in, and then talking about locking those ribs down into that position. The deadlift is a little bit different because when we set our brace, we're already bent over and a little bit compressed. So it can be a little bit harder to control and think about getting all that air in. Cue that I'd like to use is getting that breath and the lats set at the same time. So generally, instead of thinking ribs down, I like to think shoulders down, which will bring your ribs anyway, but it just engages those lats a little bit more. So Jess is gonna, imagine she's got this weight belt around her bottom ribs. She's gonna breathe as much air as she can into there, and then lock those shoulders down and compress all that air and make it really, really rigid into that position. You'll see when she does it, everything's locked in straight away. Jess is obviously very practiced at the deadlift, very skilled. So automatically for her brain, that's like a cue that everything needs to lock in. We'll talk about full body tension in a moment, but already she's taking the slack out of the bar just by engaging that brace super tight. Now, with the Valsalva maneuvers that we talked about in the squat videos, we have the half Valsalva and we have the full Valsalva, being we hold our breath for the entire rep, half being usually, so in a squat, we would breathe in on the way down, hold that breath and then exhale on the way up, allowing us to do more reps. With the deadlift, that looks a little bit different. So the half is essentially going to be holding that breath from the bottom until we lock out, and then allowing a little bit, so holding that brace all the way from the floor, driving our hips, letting out a little bit of air, and then getting rid of the bar nice and quickly. So a trap that people will fall into with this one is trying to control that negative too much when they've let go of this brace. I've seen infinitely more injuries in the deadlift on the downward part of the movement than I have on the concentric part of the movement. So if we are going to release that breath, make sure you get rid of that bar nice and quickly. Now, if you're moving towards 5s, 3s, 1s, really heavy loads, my advice would be to hold that breath, not let it go at lockout until the bar's down on the floor again. So Jess will go through that. So imagining this is going to be a weight that she would do for a triple. We're down, big expansion, big breath in. She drives through the lift, she holds that, gets the bar down, and then resets. So as you can imagine, doing 8 reps of this, not that I often program 8s for deadlifts, is going to be super taxing. So we do want to take our time to reset at the bottom. Something important probably to mention that ties into the breathing and just the systemic tightness in general is resetting every time. You will see, particularly in CrossFit and a lot of Gen Pop kind of training, the touch and go style deadlift. Personally, I never use them. This is the main reason why. It's really hard to hold this brace for an extended period of time. And I would argue that if you're doing more than 5 reps, I would just move you to an RDL that's going to carry over to the hypertrophy target that you have anyway. And sure, you can hold your breath for 3-4 reps over there and sustain that for a longer set, even up to 10-12 reps. With the dead lift, we want the weight dead on the floor every single rep so you can reset, make sure that that brace is perfect, make sure that your breathing's perfect, and you're executing every single rep safely, because we are playing with hopefully quite heavy loads.